Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks, and I'm joined this evening by
Mark.
Sarah.
And we've just finished playing Xenoshyft Dreadmire. Now, this is the second game in the sort of Xenoshyft series. So the first one was Xenoshyft Onslaught, and this is a standalone game, so you can play it without the original, or you can mix them together to play them together. It's a cooperative base defense game, I guess. So you have all these aliens who are going to be showing up in a minute, and they're assaulting your base, which is kind of represented by this lane here, you can see. So the baddies kind of line up and they get revealed one by one, and you assemble some troops here to try and fight them off. Now, you have a deck of cards here, so each round it's kind of a deck builder. You draw cards, and then you can buy stuff here. So you can buy troops, the cost you see at the top right, and each of the troops has a certain attack value and health. But you can also buy equipment, which varies from game to game. There's lots of different kinds of equipment, and you have a selection of them for each game. So you can buy weapons like this flamethrower that does a certain amount of damage, or armor, which adds hit points to your troops, or you have special ability cards that might prevent damage or send enemies away temporarily that will help you in some way. So once you've done that, you assemble all the things you bought along with the troops you've drawn from your deck in your hand. And so you attach weapons, for example, to your troops, and you arrange them in this lane. And the idea is that this is the front of your lane, this is the back of your lane, and then the enemies get dealt out. This is the front of their lane and the end of their lane. And then the front two fight each other. So you turn this one over, and there might be some kind of reveal ability, but then they both fight each other at the same time. So this troop will do 3 damage plus any weapon, so 6 damage here altogether to this guy, and at the same time this guy does 4 damage to him. Damage is simultaneous, so in this case the 6 damage is enough to kill him, so he dies, that's great, but unfortunately the 4 damage is enough to kill this guy, so he dies as well. So they would both die and go away. Your guys who've died go into your discard pile though, and then the next troop moves up, and the next baddie moves up, and they fight in the same way, and you keep going until all the enemies are dead, which is what you want, or if you're unfortunate enough that all of your guys have died, then you damage the base. And the base has 15 hit points per player, so it sort of has an appropriate amount of damage, and if the base health ever gets down to 0, you lose. So if all of them have died, and you had these 2 guys left, whatever their attack value is, they do that damage to the base, and then they get sort of killed by the base, so they go away. So you're just trying to survive. There are 9 different rounds altogether, and the troops kind of get better. So when you move into wave 2 here, you get wave 2 troops and they're better, and then wave 3 troops are even better. We never managed to get to wave 3 though, because we've just died at the end of round 6. It is a hard game, and having played the original one, that was hard, but this one adds one extra thing really, which makes it a little bit different, which is weather effects. So each round you draw another one of these weather cards that changes the kind of weather it is. And some of the baddies have abilities that will be triggered from certain weather effects. So when it's monsoon, this guy's even tougher to kill. All right, Mark, what do we think?
I still enjoyed it. I like the original. It's because the cooperativeness to it works quite well. Because you can help people, like you can use your special abilities on them. So I have like my base that allows me to use. I can prevent some damage. So I can prevent some damage on what you're taking rather than me. It works quite well, and we have some bombs here that can do things. So that works well as interactiveness. It's all fairly standard. The only thing I'm worried with, like with the original, you can spend a lot of time trying to math out the problem in the end because you're trying to optimize so much, and the game requires it to be because it's so brutally hard. In a way, because I think they added, obviously, the weather effects to make it less predictable. The idea is, I guess, as you got better with the original, you could optimize your new combination of weapons, and you kind of knew what was coming more. But because you now don't know whether the creature that comes out next is going to be powered up, it makes it almost more brutal. Because if you're just a bit unlucky, you just can't. There's the points where I think you can't necessarily plan for it. If you have, one round I had 3 out of my 4 creatures were all powered up by the weather effect, and that was just a bit too far, and that I can't do anything about it. But I guess on the other hand, sometimes you're going to have easier rounds, so it's meant to play out against the two. It's still a fun, decent cooperative game. It's a deck builder. It works pretty much like most, but the fact that it does have a cooperative element is good. It doesn't feel too standalone unless you kind of end up ducking your heads down trying to math it out.
Okay, Sarah?
So I really like deck building games. So because just playing with all the different cards and having so many different things that you can actually do. I mean, there was one in here which is actually pretty cool that you can actually kill yourself on your own katana, which that's quite thematic on here, which I quite enjoyed, because when you are towards the end of your line in relation to the bosses dying, what more way would your troops actually go than just killing themselves and exploding everywhere, which is absolutely brilliant. So played the original one once before, and yes, I found probably that one slightly easier because we didn't have like the weather effects, but as the other guys have said, it does give you a lot more varieties to the game, makes it a hell of a lot harder. It could do with not getting so hard so quick, so that you can get your head around what your abilities are, what you can chain stack, and then what you can do with helping other people as well. But apart from that, it's a really good deck building game, but need to play it a lot more to get used to all the different abilities and used to the monsters, and especially the different weather cards.
Yeah, rating out of 10?
For me, I would probably say 5, because it's frustrating to me in relation that we didn't get very far through it. We didn't even get onto wave 3, so I would struggle to believe that we'd actually be able to defeat the game.
Okay. Mark, rating?
I'd give it somewhere between 6.5 and 7. I do enjoy it, but it is I agree, it is brutally hard. I thought that about the first one, but this one I think is even a step up on that. But then I guess that's for the players who've played and mastered the first one, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's good, and I like the theme. That's probably one of the main things that attracts me to it. The theme does work well. You do feel like you're fighting off the hordes of aliens that just keep coming in again and again. I like the variety with the weapons and the items, the armor and things that you can attach, and the different combos you can get with them. That works well. My only complaint really would be that it's a bit slow. Like, it just takes a bit longer than you'd want it to take. We only got 2/3 effectively the way through the game because we died. But it was already, it's a good hour and a half plus, wasn't it? I mean, you're looking at, I think, 2.5 hours, and it doesn't feel heavy enough, if that makes sense. It's almost too light of a game for it to be going on for 2.5 hours. But, and as Mark says, I think that just comes down to the fact that you are sometimes having to think through all the different combinations. Am I best using this ability on this enemy, or is it the next enemy? So as he says, it becomes quite mathy. You're trying to work all that out. And as Sarah says, really, I think in terms of getting better at the game, a lot of it is about knowing the enemy abilities. So I don't know that I'm that bothered to play through it enough times to master all the abilities to be able to beat the game. And as they both said, it's really, really hard.
I think I wouldn't play it as I'd be worried about playing it as a 4. I think it's probably all right as a 2 lengthwise. You spend quite a lot of time there waiting for the players to do their own maths, and there is nothing you can do at that point other than occasionally show up going, I can help you with this. But yeah, you can kind of sit there just twiddling your thumbs a little bit, which has got a bit of downtime in it.
Yeah, I don't think I would play this 4-player. It would just, as Mark said, there'd be too much downtime. It would be too slow. The weather effects, it feels like a nice introduction. It adds variability, but it also adds a big ton of randomness, like they say. And personally, I think in future, I would just play without the weather effects. Once you've mastered the game and beaten it, because it obviously is going to make it easier without the weather, then you could maybe start introducing them back in, but it really adds a chunk of difficulty onto it. So in terms of rating, I think I'd be on 6.5 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Xenoshyft Dreadmire.